having a lady-in-waiting, and I'm certainly not used to giving orders to my childhood best friend. We used to play dolls together.
Yes, but you're the queen now, and it is my honor to work for you. And if working for you means playing with dolls, then I'll do it. But please don't ask me to play any games, because you know that I'd have to pretend to lose, and I hate to lose.
I do. Don't worry, Anna. If we play games together, you can win. Sometimes.
Oh, Your Majesty, thank you. Your kindness surpasses all the breadth of the seas and the multitudes of the stars in the sky.
And your sarcasm surpasses all expectations. I'm glad your wit hasn't changed since we moved to the palace.
Well, I better finish getting your tea ready for you and your guests.
Well, you'll join us, won't you, Anna?
Oh, no, I don't think that would be appropriate.
Because you're my maid?
No, because Ziva is a royal plane in the rear. What is Diva? You know she's never forgiven you for beating her in that pageant.
Anna, it wasn't a pageant.
Your Majesty, it was a gaggle of girls who pretended that they liked each other, disturbing beauty treatments, women in beautiful gowns being paraded in front of a panel of men, and the winner was crowned at the end. That's a pageant. Minus the swimsuit competition, of course.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Face it, you're the winner of the Miss Persia pageant. And your prize is an old, grumpy, cantankerous king.
He's not that bad. Recent events have proven that he's a good king and a kind husband.
Well, I'm glad, but just know that Ziva is still bitter that she's not her kind of husband.
Hello, Esther, darling, are you there?
And here she is now. Good afternoon, Miss Ziva. How lovely to see you again. Please remember, though, that it's Queen Esther now.
Of course. How lovely to see you, Queen Esther, darling. I don't know whether to call you a courtesy.
Oh, a hug is just fine. How are you, my friend?
Splendid, of course. Can't you tell? I've just gotten married to a Shah.
Oh, Ziva, that's wonderful.
He's not a king, but he's much more handsome than your king. And he's very, very rich. I live in a palace, too.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. I hope he deserves you.
Anna, would you pour us some tea?
Oh, of course. Your Majesty.
Oh, Anna, do join us, won't you? I'd love to catch up with you as well.
Oh, well, what an honor. And I don't suppose you're going to want to tell us all about your new husband.
I'd be delighted. But first, I heard there's been a lot of drama here at the palace. I'd love to hear all the dirt.
I imagined that you would. Well, it all started when some eunuchs plotted to kill the king.
As if eunuchs weren't useless enough already.
Anyway, my cousin Mordecai heard of the plot, and he saved the king's life.
I remember Mordecai. He raised you, didn't he?
Yes, he did, after my parents died. But somehow, Mordecai offended Haman, who's the king's right-hand man.
I remember Haman, too. He was always a bit of a weasel, wasn't he?
That's an insult to weasels. Haman is utterly unworthy to be bowed down to. And I don't blame Mordecai for not wanting to.
Anyway, because Mordecai refused to bow down to Haman, and because Mordecai is a Jew...
Mordecai is a Jew? I'm just astounded. You're lucky he didn't raise you as a Jew.
I am a Jew, Ziva. Always have been. God is the center of my life and the reason I'm here today. Mordecai advised me to keep my faith quiet during the pageant. And I just never ended up telling anyone.
Of course, I knew, because I'm a Jew also, and I'm proud of it.
Well, the wonders never cease. A Jewish princess becomes a Persian queen. Such irony.
Yes, well, when Mordecai refused to bow down to Haman, Haman set out to murder the whole Jewish population of Persia.
What? That's the worst thing I've ever heard. Did he have the power to do that?
No, but he weaseled away. He told the king that the Jews in Persia were all dangerous and lawless. And he bamboozled the king into signing some decree that all the Jews were to be executed on a certain date.
Your husband ordered the murder of your own people.
Without even realizing they were my people. Mordecai was inconsolable. He sat at the gate in sackcloth. He wouldn't even see me. I received a message from him telling me that perhaps this was the reason I became queen, to save my own people.
Maybe I'm glad I didn't win the pageant. I would have loved the lifestyle, but I'm not sure I could handle the trauma.
God forbid you should become a dog queen. More tea, anyone?
Yes, please. My husband has his own tea supplier from the Far East, but this tea isn't too bad. For Persia tea.
Well, so anyway, I was desperate to find a way to stop the murder of my people.
Well, of course, darling. So you spoke to the king.
Well, I wanted to, but there was one big problem.
See, the king is not exactly approachable. His policy is that anyone that comes before him without being officially invited will be killed.
Killed? Well, that's pretty severe. Well, I imagine it keeps the riffraff out of the throne.
Well, I suppose, but it also meant that I couldn't just show up and tell him what Haman had done. Haman's been his advisor for years. I've only been his wife a few months. I had no idea if he would be loyal to Haman or to me.
So we had to be clever.
Yes, and Anna was extremely helpful in hatching a plan.
You were always a conniving one, weren't you, Anna?
Apparently.
What's that?
No, nothing. The queen and I just decided to host a dinner party.
Oh, I wish you had told me. I found the most delightful caterer who specializes in gourmet pig roasts.
Not a kosher caterer, I take it.
Oh, that's right. You Jews don't do pork, do you? How sad. I'm not sure any faith is worth depriving myself of bacon.
Well, I guess I'd have to take your word for it. Anyway, this Jewish girl who grew up as an orphan in a foreign land had to figure out how to convince the king of Persia to not execute a whole culture of people. Bacon would have helped.
So the queen had to risk it and see the king without being invited. Thankfully, he welcomed her in and said that he and Haman would love to accept our dinner invitation.
So at the dinner, you exposed Haman for the scoundrel he is.
Well, not right away.
She chickened out the first time around.
I did not.
Oh, you just had so much fun eating with Haman the first time that you thought you'd invite him a second time.
Well, I just had a feeling that that first dinner, the timing wasn't right. And it was a good thing because that night, the king couldn't sleep.
Indigestion, I'll get you my caterer's business card before I leave out.
There was nothing wrong with my food. The king couldn't sleep because something wasn't right.
So, he checked the record books and realized that Mordecai had never been rewarded for thwarting the assassination plot. So he asked Haman what would be an appropriate reward for someone who served the king so faithfully.
But Haman thought that the king wanted to reward him. So he suggested a great parade in the king's royal robes and rewarded him as though it was coming to him when he was going to his enemy, Mordecai. You should have seen the look on Haman's weaselly little face.
So Mordecai was royally rewarded by the king, who had unknowingly ordered his execution. So that night, I had dinner with the king and Haman again. And
this time, she didn't chicken out.
thank you, Anna. I told the king that what Haman had done, how he had manipulated the king to get revenge against a very faithful man who wasn't just a Jew, but was my own cousin.
I have never seen steam come out of anyone's ears before. The king was furious that Haman had become such a traitor.
So he reversed the execution decree.
No, that's the horrible part. The decree was irreversible.
How awful.
The decree had already publicized that on the 13th day, anyone could legally kill a Jew. Anyone that they met. So it was just too late for them to reverse it.
So the king allowed me to write a new decree. So our people could defend themselves, and that's what they did. Haman and his family were all put to death, and my people were saved from a mass execution.
All because of Queen Esther.
Well, you helped a great deal, Anna, and Mordecai, he was the real hero. In the end, the king gave Mordecai Haman's position as a reward for his faithfulness and wisdom.
Little old Mordecai is now second in command.
Yes, the king finds him to be the most valuable advisor he's ever had, and he's also a hero to our people. He's declared that each year we should celebrate how we were saved from death on a day we're calling Purim.
Well, what a remarkable story. You and Mordecai go from the Jewish slums to the palace. Did you ever think it could happen?
Not in my wildest dreams. Sometimes I still wonder how I got here. I never thought I belonged in a palace. But God can use the most unexpected things for the greatest good.
I wonder how God intends to use my fabulousness for the greatest good.
Can't even imagine.
Esther, I'm sure you don't know this, but I was very jealous when you won the pageant and the king.
I'm shocked.
But I'm genuinely grateful that you won, as are your people. Your courage inspires me to help my people too.
Oh, how wonderful.
My husband's entourage has the ugliest feet I've ever seen. Perhaps I'll decree a day of free pedicures for all of his staff, even the eunuchs. I'll call it the Palace Anti-Callous Initiative. I love having a mission.
Oh, well, good for you, Ziva.
How utterly benevolent of you.
Yes, well, I should probably be going if I hope to get my mission underway. But I may need a spotting first because your story has plumb worn me out.
Well, thank you for visiting my friend. Do come again.
Not too soon. And you must come and visit me at my palace as well. It's fabulous, just like me.
I have a hard time believing that even God can find a good use for her.